All right, welcome back, Bulls fans. Time for another episode of Bulls Brothers, episode 3, I believe. Big week for the Bulls. We had a fun time over in Tuscaloosa. What are your thoughts, AJ?
Yeah, that's right. It was a good game. I was proud of the boys. We had we played good for 54 minutes. The last 6 minutes was not so great, but we gave them a really good game. I think overall, I'm proud of what we did. We went in there and we played Bulls football. We ran it down the field. We stopped them when we had to, and I think it was a overall good game for us.
Yeah, totally agree. I think we went over there and the fans showed up. That was a huge plus for us.
Yeah.
But we did exactly what we wanted to do, which was go over there and play some good football and have a good game with those guys. And we definitely, I think, show what we have in that
That's
game.
right. Yeah. And I think it was good for us and important to kind of set this feeling for the game. We came out on the first drive and we drove it down there, got to the red zone, and then we kind of stuttered and we got some points on the board. And I think that's what's important. We didn't come out of that first drive with nothing. And so we essentially established that we're able to get down and put some points on the board, which was very good. Kind of set the tone for us, and us as fans, I think we're really excited to see that. Alabama's got a tough defense, and if we're able to make some moves on them, that's looking good for us.
Yeah, they certainly have a tough defense, and just our ability to. I don't know if you saw during the game, we had Nick Saban, shaking his head half the time. He
We
was,
did.
yeah, there was a couple of moments of, just doubt. I think it came from almost that whole stadium. Of course, they, bounced back like they always do, and Alabama, the fourth quarter team, ran away with it, and I guess,
Hmm.
what was it, the last 6 minutes of the game, put up 4 touchdowns on us. But,
Yeah,
there was definitely some times in that game, I think the whole country was watching saying, not again, Bama.
yeah, they
So,
were. Yeah, I even had colleagues telling me they weren't watching until they saw the fourth quarter. We were just down by one. It was I think 13-14 in the going in the fourth quarter, and yeah, and so it was. We hung with them, and quite honestly, I think we were the better team through 3.5 quarters. Um, our offense, I think we were able to really show, our offensive line, held good protection. Byron Brown was able to get out and run the ball around. I think one place where, we obviously did not excel was passing the ball, and specifically passing the ball downfield. We had three early shots over the top. Our receivers had a step on the defender, and they were just overthrown, which kind of goes back to what we had talked about earlier in the season. We didn't, for that first game against Bethune-Cookman, we never really saw Byron Brown air it out, and it kind of came to bite us. I would like to say each of those three, they were on two separate drives, would have been potential touchdowns. There was no one else to beat. He had the step on the last defender on the field. So, that's obviously, a place where we need to improve. But overall, I thought the offense looked strong.
yeah, I think you're totally right there. I mean, the offense, they look strong in some areas, like you said. I think the running backs did a good job of doing everything they could. I know Naquan Wright, was our leading rusher in the running back room, at least. I know Byron Brown was
Hmm.
the leading rusher, which moving forward into the season, and especially as he gets later in his career, I think needs to probably change. I think I need to see the running backs take over the rushing role for Byron. I know he's got the ability, but
Yeah,
we can't keep risking it with that guy. Just what
I
good is
agree.
playing in this game against Alabama if our quarterback was our leading rusher and gets hurt just because he finds himself getting hit by linebackers all day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree.
but no, I
That
think
ability. Mhm.
well, yeah, I was just going to say, I think the offensive line, I mean, I think they held together as good as we could have expected. I mean, the front seven from Bama is just always and always has been pretty unbelievable. So considering the
Yeah.
circumstances of those guys, they did their best to keep Byram off of his back all game. But yeah, just I'd love to see um, a more dominant running back room, and that's tough to do kind of in our position in the college football world. But I think we've got the guys that can do it, and that's the part that gets me. I mean, Tayron Keith actually, who was kind of our third back all night, is the one that ends up
Hmm.
scoring the touchdown. So we've got guys at least three deep, if not four deep, that can run the ball. It's just do we trust them enough to keep putting it in their hands? Is our offensive line going to continue to blow those holes open? It's just something I want to see moving forward, especially as we get into our conference. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit better matchups, with the front seven, and we can kind of take some of that pressure off Byram and not have him getting hit so much. Not that I don't think
Yeah.
he enjoys it. I mean, he loves it and he wants to do that.
Yeah.
I just think for the longevity of the season and his career as not only a college athlete, but potentially a pro athlete, we got to get him used to not running the ball as much just because, it's dangerous. It's just straight up dangerous.
That's right. Yeah, that's his running ability is something we want to maybe fall back on if he has to scramble, but that's not something we want to lean on, and lean into. Obviously we do appreciate his ability to run, and it's electric. It's a huge part of our offense, but
Yep.
we want to spread the field out a little bit and kind of show our other strengths. Obviously with the three running backs, spread the ball out on the ground, amongst the three running backs as well. But again, going back to it, I think we really need to establish a throwing game, a passing game. That's where we're lacking. We did have Sean Atkins caught a couple of great kind of screens or just short slant passes, but we had nothing really past 10 yards down the field. And there may have been the off here or there, button hook or something that was 10 yards and stop, but we never had any deep posts or fly routes or anything like that, that we connected on. And I don't think we have connected on any deep balls all season.
Well,
Um,
one, unfortunately, but fortunately, one, and it was deep ball over the top with Archie, um,
mhm.
Bryce Archie. He, once again, we talked about this in the first episode, I think, threw a beautiful pass over the top. And
Yeah,
that was in the Bethune Cookman game where that's where I was saying, why not give Byram that chance? Why isn't he getting into that rhythm? Why are we having the backup throw the ball over the top, but yet you have our starter against Bethune
yeah,
Cookman, throwing these, quick passes and 10-yard outs, which don't get me wrong, that's what most of our receiving core, Sean Atkins, I mean, that's his specialty, and he is lights
yeah,
out. He's a ball, he can catch the ball, and we love him for that. But you can only do that for so long. Every once in a while, you got to stress the defense out a little bit, and that's kind of why I was talking about that in that first game. Like, hey, where was the deep ball? Why didn't we shake him loose a little bit? Because you could tell going into that game he wasn't ready to throw a deep ball. He
yeah.
just simply
That's
wasn't
right.
ready.
And it's interesting that you say rhythm. I don't know if you caught it today in the presser on Tuesday, but Galesh was saying, it's kind of on the coaching staff for not letting Byram get into a rhythm,
Yep.
to throw, and that's kind of exactly right. We were getting into these situations where we were either incompleting a pass on first or second down or getting 2 or 3 yards, and so we were getting into a lot of third and longs, where the defense was kind of just sitting back and waiting for a long ball or a pass or just kind of spying,
Yep.
and that wasn't allowing a situation where Brown could really be successful and have open targets downfield. So it is a little bit on coaching, and but when the opportunities were there, they were just overthrown. And
Yeah.
so, these are things we got to get more opportunities in game for Brown to throw downfield and, connect and get some of that confidence built up. Because as of now, and I will go back. Yeah, Archie did connect on that, long ball in the first game, but Byron Brown has not connected on anything downfield yet.
Yep.
Um, I think it's well within his wheelhouse. He's got a strong arm. We just got to, kind of work out those kinks. Um, and
You have to feel it. That's what it
that's
is.
right.
I mean, you can do it in practice. You can do it in your backyard. You can throw that long ball you want. It's different when you're sitting, especially when you're sitting in front of 90,000
Yeah.
Alabama fans.
102,000. It's the largest crowd USF has ever played in front of.
Right. So 102,000 Alabama fans, you're not going to turn on the deep ball right there, right then and there. And not to say that he doesn't have the ability to, no one really does. I mean, you could have put, you know, any SEC quarterback, Big Ten quarterback in that situation. And if game one, it kind of felt iffy, it kind of felt sticky a little bit, you stick them in that environment, it's not going to turn on. They have to feel it out. They have to let one fall in a game where, the stakes aren't quite as high before they can go into a game like this and just expect to be able to throw these 45, 50-yard bombs. It's just not going to happen.
That's right. Yeah. Which coming up, this is another good opportunity where the stakes aren't quite as high, against Southern Miss. And quite honestly, this is a game where we can't, take it lightly. And I'm I do think that USF they're going to be taking it serious. They got back to the practice field on Monday, and they started looking forward to this next game. So I feel like this will be a good opportunity to work some of those kinks out.
Yeah. But
Um,
before we get to that game, let's talk
yeah,
about defense. Let's talk about defense.
that's
One
right.
one
Yeah,
thing we've talked about for the last 2 weeks is that defense has to step up. That defense has to step up. And boy, if they didn't step up.
they did. I was proud of them. So I mean, they had 3 sacks in Milrow. They kept him contained for a large part of the game.
Yeah.
Um, Not
But
only
two
that,
forced fumbles?
yeah,
I
two
mean,
forced fumbles, yeah, and then we did have the third fumble on special teams, which was great as well. And we also didn't turn the ball over at all, and so it's great that the fumbles were coming from Alabama. Um, but yeah, another thing was the defenders. I felt like we had great coverage all night.
yeah.
And these are against the best receivers in the country. Some of the top talent in the country,
Mhm.
and we were covering them tight. I don't know if they got a pass downfield, before the fourth quarter. We kept them pretty tight. We did have a couple of 3-and-outs, and you know, I think that was a big statement game for our defense.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We got to the quarterback um, multiple times. We had him running around the field all game. I think he was even almost a leading rusher just because he had to get out and use his legs a little bit because we
Yeah,
weren't giving him enough time to sit there and throw that deep ball, and that kind of contributes. And that's going into this game. What I talked about as well is our defensive line. That was our weak point. That pass rush. Um, and I know that Syracuse game, it wasn't our weakest point, and they got to the quarterback. And that's part of the reason we did what we did against them. And I think these first two games as well, they've showed us, hey, we're here to play. We
that's
can we
right.
can get to the quarterback. So that's definitely a positive point. There was a lot of positives and negatives in this game. I don't think the negatives are, any negatives that are going to cause, the USF fans to lose faith in the team
No,
or the quarterback. We're still behind them. I think Byron Brown is probably one of the best things that's happened to the team and the program in a very long time. I put him at that same level, potentially at least. And what he's shown us so far as those Quentin Flowers and BJ Daniels and Matt Grothies. So, he by no means are we losing faith in what he can do. I just, there's a lot of pressure on this season, and I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on him. And, we
yeah,
needed to take advantage, I think, of that Bethune-Cookman game to kind of relieve some of that pressure. And I think just going into the Alabama game, there were just some kinks that hadn't been worked out yet. And it was just kind of unfair of us to think that he could work them out in that environment. He's never been in that environment.
that's right. Yeah, and he's still a young quarterback, and so there's definitely no faith lost, on this side at least. I feel like he's still our guy. He's a great leader on the team. I think he's a tremendous athlete, and he's kind of a pivotal part of the team right now. And I think the few things that maybe he's faulted on, those are things we can work out. There's nothing that we really need to go back to the drawing boards on. It's just things we need to kind of work out the process, get them in a rhythm, and get them connecting on some balls. But no alarm bells are going off for me. I think
No.
he's still the right guy.
Yeah, that's so, rolling into this next week and we can start talking about Southern Miss a little bit.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I'm most excited about. I'm excited to see, hopefully not an angry Byron Brown or chip on his shoulder. And of course, it's always good to play with a little bit of a chip in your shoulder. I think this team naturally does that anyways.
Hmm.
But I want to see the bright, happy, smiling, laughing. I want to see him go out there, play loose like he usually does, and just kind of just take a deep breath and say, all right, hey, I threw a couple of deep balls. Our running backs took off a little bit. I just want to see. That's what I want to see. It's kind of just, what we saw in game one was, Byron Brown, but that's what you expect him to do against within Cookman. What we saw in game two, I think was not the Byron Brown we're used to seeing, which was the bright ray of sunshine, let's go kick some ass kind of player. He
Hmm.
was, you could tell that there was just something that was just not quite there. And you saw it in his passing, because I have here he went, what, 42.9% completion rate. That's not Byron Brown. That's not him.
Yeah.
That's not how he plays the game. He's always honestly a very lights out accurate passer. And the deep ball is something that he's able to do here and there. He has the ability, but it's 42% completion. It's just not. It's not him. It's not. So that's what I want to see going into this week is put those white jerseys on, put those white helmets on, go out there with a smile on your face, and let's just play some football. And that's what I want to see. I want to see him have fun. Most importantly, I
Yeah.
want to see him go out there and have fun. That way, going into some of these bigger matchups after this game, Miami. Just after that is Memphis or
Tulane.
Tulane.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tulane.
Yeah.
And those are going to be more high stakes games for us. And
That's right.
at
Yeah.
some point, we need him to just have fun and play some football. And I think
Yeah.
that will help him going into those games is, oh yeah, this is what I'm here for, to have fun and play football, not to just be feeling all this pressure, 102,000 people. No, go out there, put the blinders on and play your game and have fun. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a great opportunity to do that because there's no pressure here going into Southern Miss. We obviously do want to play a good, strong, clean game. But this isn't someone who we're thinking is going to give us a lot of problems, quite honestly. I'm not sure what the spread is, but I feel like we should beat this team, pretty well, pretty easily. And so this is a good opportunity for him to go in and get more comfortable. And this is his second year. He's a sophomore. So he's got a lot of experience. He just has to kind of calm down a little bit, and connect on passes. Settle down. We did see a couple plays in the Alabama game where he was kind of running towards the line and not really sure if he's going to throw or run, and then he ended up trying to throw an errant ball. And some of those times, he's got to be more decisive in his decisions. And if he's out there in the wing and there's no one 10 or 15 yards around him, just tuck it and go.
Go.
Right? You don't have
Even
to
if
try to force a pass.
yeah, even if you get 8 yards, it doesn't have to be a 45 run, home run play.
Yeah.
Chunk out 8 yards and slide and get down and don't get hit. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Just make that
absolutely.
decision. And I think that's the true Byron Brown though that we know and love, is that decision
Hmm.
maker where he usually makes that
Hmm.
decision at the right moment, and those typically turn into those 45-yard touchdown runs, or is when he just plants and goes, just because he's like, what, I can do it, I know I can do it, let's go. I think that last game is where you see more outside pressure, pressure on the program, pressure on the coach, pressure on him to go and give Alabama a fit, and that's where you saw that just half a second of hesitation. Well, the play is busted. Those
Hmm.
Alabama DBs and linebackers are fast enough. If you don't let go of the ball, they're in front of the receiver, and if you don't tuck it and run, there's a defensive lineman or a linebacker scraping, and they're going to come and hit you.
Yeah.
So and that's what
Yeah.
makes a high level
Yeah, playing in an
player.
SEC environment, there is no room for hesitation. Yeah,
Not one
absolutely.
second of
And
hesitation.
and again, you know, I'm not disparaging anything about the performance. I thought it was good, but there's some things that
Yeah.
can be worked on, and some lessons that can be learned. And I think that's how the team's taking it. I think they can hold their heads high walking out of there. Uh, let's actually talk a little bit about that last 6 minutes. Quite honestly, it was rough. They scored. I think 6 minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock. They scored 4 touchdowns. Um, which is rough. But even with that, we gave them a good, strong game. Those last 6 minutes aren't necessarily indication of how we played. I don't think the guys gave up on the field. I just think there was some miscues, and
Yeah, there's just some people, especially on the defense side of the ball, they were trying to overcompensate for the offense at that point in the game. Now we're six
yeah,
minutes left and they just go up another touchdown. Now we're down by what is it, 8 points at this point. The
hmm
defense is now saying, well, now I have to make a play. I have to overextend myself and, possibly turn the ball over, possibly score on defense. And that's where you see that, oops,
yeah, trying to
I
do
I
too
tried to
much.
undercut the route and intercept it, and it went through my hands, and now he's running 48 yards into the end zone.
That's
That's
right. Yeah,
unfortunately, and no knock on the defense. That's what we would all do. I think that's what everyone would do is
yeah,
try to when you see it start to slip away, you either
trying to push that little extra.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it was but back to what Galesh said in his presser last year after the Alabama game. Let's not get too caught up in, oh well, it was a good game. Oh, we played them tight until the last 6 minutes. Well, the last 6 minutes happened, and the
hmm
scoreboard says they kicked our ass.
yeah,
Unfortunately, that's what it is. And then back to the moral victories are for losers. Let's not get caught up in it. We made a lot of mistakes. We once again, year two, we were in a position to win that football game,
hmm
and we didn't. And that's the end of
that's
that.
right.
And I think the team and the program also, that's how they feel about it. And it's not a let's sulk about it, let's be sad about it. Let's
No,
move on
yeah,
and make it right.
yeah, and I think they have. They're moved on. They're on to game prepping for Southern Miss, and so the team's in a good space. Um, and moving forward, I think we've got a lot to build on here. And again, we've kind of talked about it, but the Southern Miss game is kind of just it's going to be a good game for us to kind of recuperate, settle down, and really execute. We want to be precise in this game. We want to go in there again, like in the Bethune-Cookman game. We want to shut them down. We want our defense to be stone cold. We don't want them to get anything. Ideally, we'd shut them out. We want the offense to go down. And I think a big thing that we need our offense to focus on is red zone. Once we get into the red zone, we need to be able to, effectively put together 3 or 4 plays and push it across the line. We need to get our running game, tight. We need to be able to push the ball. We need to be able to, to score a touchdown. I think, what was it? I guess it was, yeah, the first 2 drives that we had, are the first 2 scores. We were in the red zone both times, and we just couldn't mount anything to get those extra, 10 or 15 yards and get it across the goal line. So I think that's something we got to focus on as well.
Yeah, definitely.
hmm
Consistency and finishing, which are two things that Galesh preaches. Um,
Yeah,
let's go out there, be consistent enough to get in the red zone, and let's finish once we get there.
that's
So,
right.
and there was, like we said, we can go on for days. There was what 2 or 3 red zone visits that we came away with 0 points one time, came away with 3 points a couple of times, and then you
hmm
have 3 potential touchdown passes dropped.
Yeah,
What happens
yeah.
if those touchdown passes don't fall on the ground, they fall in someone's hands? What happens if those zone visits turn into 6 points or 7 points instead of 3?
Yeah.
I
we're
mean,
playing in a different game.
this
Yeah,
close, this
that's
close.
right.
But once again, what did the
Yeah.
scoreboard say?
Yeah, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts,
Yep.
so we can't talk about that. It didn't happen, and we got to push forward and move on to our next upcoming games.
Yeah.
And I know we got Southern Miss next week, and that's who the team's focused on. But you and I, let's talk a week out from that. We got Miami, and they just announced the game time for Miami. So it's a 7 p.m. night game
Primetime
in Ray
Bulls.
J. That's right. Yeah.
Primetime Bulls.
I think it'll be a good environment. I don't know that it's sold out, but tickets were going fast. I know we've got our tickets. We've got a few for our, extended friends and families that are coming. And so I think that ought to be a good game. And I think, we're kind of in a prime spot here. Um, we've played Alabama, so we've really been, thoroughly tested. Um, and we're going to have this kind of cleanup game against Southern Miss and kind of to get right. Where Miami, they played Florida, the first week of the game or the season, and they handled them. And then they got I think FAMU and another FCS school. So it's you know, they're not really facing any competition before they get to us, and they're going to be riding high on a cloud. So, I think this could be a dangerous game for them and a golden opportunity for us. So, I'm really excited for that game 2 weeks from now. To see how we can perform because I actually don't know what Miami's ranked right now. Oh, it looks like they're ranked 10. So that's a top 10 team that we're going to be playing. And we played Alabama, a top 4 team, pretty well. So I'm excited to see what we could bring against them.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. I think that's the game we've all been looking forward to this season. It's going to be at home, so it'll be your and I first opportunity to get into Raymond James and watch a game. So that'll be a fun environment. Whether or not they do sell out or not, there is going to be 70 plus thousand people there, so it'll still be a fun time. As of right now, I struggle to. I'm personally, as a fan, I'm struggling to look at that game just yet, just because, of course, I want to go to a game, and I'm excited for that game and the people it's going to bring and the atmosphere it's going to have, but I'm not excited about like what we've produced on the field just yet is not what I would like to see going into that game.
Yeah.
And
You don't think we're
so,
quite ready for it yet, huh?
I think we might be just as ready as we were to play Alabama, which
Yeah.
once
Well, that's where
again,
we are as a team. So
yeah,
you're exactly right. That's where we are as a team right now. And we're only 3 days removed from that Alabama game. And so, they've had Monday and a Tuesday practice to, try to clean some things up, to digest, that Alabama game and, figure out where the holes are and, how we can fix them. Um, but you're right. We are as prepared um, as we were, I guess, for Alabama. And so it's adding on to that preparation. It's fixing these issues that we had. It's learning from those mistakes, and I think you know this week is going to be that. And then this game on Southern against Southern Miss is going to be kind of the representation of what we were able uh, to learn,
yeah,
and apply that in a game situation. Um,
yeah,
and then obviously, we'll have a full another week of practice to clean it up even more.
yeah,
So I think we will be ready. I think we'll be more prepared. I think the Alabama game is going to give us a lot of material, um, to figure out how to put together a full 60 minutes against a top 10 team. Um, and I think we'll give them a hell of a game. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I've got some high hopes.
yeah, yeah. Me too. I think we're gonna. I've had high hopes, and we always have high hopes for the Bulls, and I
That's
uh
right.
I have high hopes going into this game, and I certainly don't think it's unattainable. I just don't personally want to get too ahead of ourselves, even in saying that, oh, this game against Southern Miss is a tune-up game. We've proved time and time again in the past that some of these tune-up games aren't exactly tune-up games; they're oh
Yeah.
shit games. Um, so I will feel, I think, a lot more comfortable going into and talking about that Miami game after, we do what I think we should do against Southern Miss, and it's, shut them out, hold them to maybe one score, score some points, get Byram loose over the top. Now let's talk about Miami. Okay, now I think we're firing on all cylinders. We've been battle tested. We came back. We shook it loose. Let's go play Miami. I'll be excited about it next episode. I think is when
Yeah.
I'll probably be more energetic in talking about this Miami game. And
Yeah, and
I
I
just
understand that. Yeah, we don't want to get too far ahead, and I completely understand.
I yeah, and I don't necessarily think we're going to struggle too much against Southern Miss, but I don't think they're a team that in the past has proven to not be necessarily a pushover team.
Hmm.
So we got to go into this game wanting to kick their ass, or we're gonna be looking around, in Southern Mississippi, and what just happened. Um, but I think I know they've got some returning guys. They got a new coaching staff. Um, but they've got some returning guys. Their defense, um, they didn't get, they didn't get, I don't know how you would define it. They didn't get blown out necessarily, I don't think, against Kentucky last week.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think they got
I
blew
think they
out as
did.
much as we did, though. Like
Yeah.
they had some good drives on defense.
Hmm.
I think they only scored 10 points in the first half, or maybe right at the end of the first half, they scored another touchdown. Um,
Yeah.
just to say this is that we're not going to go and score, or we shouldn't expect to. We might earn the right to, but we shouldn't expect to go score 65 points and give up zero against Southern Miss by any means. I don't think.
Well, I'm gonna push back on that. I think we do. I think we need to. I think we need to go and make this a statement game,
Yeah,
and we do need to score. So they lost 31-0 to Kentucky.
yeah,
I think we need to be, at least there, if not in the 40s. And I think we do. It's important for us to connect on some passes.
yeah,
We need to really. That's the spotlight for me, is to connect on the passes. And quite honestly, as far as their offense, they've got a little bit of an offense. They have quarterback for FSU last year. What is it, Tate Rudemaker? He is their quarterback this year. And so he's got a solid arm.
mhm.
And so I think
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
that's what I'm trying to say is that
they're
they showed some flashes against Kentucky
yeah,
where you're like, if we slip up or if we're not
yeah,
preparing for these flashes that they just showed against Kentucky, we're going to get put on our ass. But I think we're going to do a great job of
yeah.
preparing.
The
I just,
potential's there. That's right,
yeah,
and that's why we have to have a clean game. But like I said, I think for our confidence as a team,
we need to.
which they're building confidence, I think we need to make it a statement game.
Yeah,
And I think we do need to, shut them out or hold them to as few points as possible. And I think we need to put a lot of points on the board, in every different variety. And I'd like to get a couple receiving touchdowns, a couple running touchdowns, and Byram can go and run for a couple touchdowns as well.
sure.
But I want to put some
I'd
points up.
rather see him throw for 4 touchdowns than run for any.
Honestly, I agree. I agree. But the reality of the athlete he is,
Right.
he's going to use
It's
his
gonna
legs.
happen at
Yeah,
some point in the
he
game. Yeah.
he ran for over 100 yards against Alabama. That's his fifth 100-yard rushing game, as a starting quarterback for us, and so
Yeah.
that's
It's
in
gonna
his
happen.
DNA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I agree. I want to see as many passing touchdowns as we can get, and if nothing else, for practice to get them in the rhythm, and connecting with receivers downfield in a game situation. we can do that on the practice field all you want, but nothing's the same as a game situation. And that's what we need to see, out of this game this week.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's I guess nothing I can even really say to that. I mean, that's completely true. We do have to make a statement, and I think we will in some way or another make a statement this game.
Yeah.
But it'll be an interesting one to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this game saying, all right, how do these guys bounce back?
That's right. Yeah. And, just like, Galesh has been saying, all along, we have to play every team the same. We got to bring that same intensity to every team,
Mm-hmm.
and, I liked one thing that I really liked in his pregame speech, for this Alabama game. He was saying, we're not playing the logo. You're playing a one-on-one matchup with the guy right across from you. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing. We have to win those matchups.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they have a golden eagle on their helmet or, an Alabama A on their helmet.
Yeah.
We're playing the man. We're not playing the uniform or the logo.
Yeah.
And they
Beat
got
the
to
guy
play.
across from you 40 or 50 times in a game, and then we'll talk about what the scoreboard says.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, and so I think, because he's, pounded that into their heads, and that's what they're thinking. So I do think, and this is going to be a test, of if that philosophy, is really, taking hold. If they go in there and handle business and, play the same game, in the same intensity as they took to Alabama. And, I think if they do that, it will be that statement game that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we have to see. And I guess that's why I'm saying I think we need to see that statement game, because we got to make sure that they are taking the same intensity to every game, to every approach. And yeah, I think they will. I have faith they will. But they gotta show it first.
Yep, they got to prove it to us. They do.
That's
They
right.
definitely. They owe it. I think the team and the program owes it to the fan base. Prove it to us, and then we'll talk. But
That's right.
yeah, I think that just about sums things up. It's going to be an exciting week. Looking forward to watching this game. I'm going to be watching every play. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to sit right on my couch. I want to hyper analyze every play. I want to look at the offensive line, watch
That's right.
Byram, watch him get comfortable, hopefully. But we'll see what happens. But other than that, I think it's going to bring us to a close for episode number 3 of the Bulls
Yeah.
Brothers podcast. Thank you guys for watching yet again. And please like, subscribe, and give us a follow on Instagram _Bulls Brothers. We deeply appreciate it. But other than that, this is the Bulls Brothers signing off.
All right. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.